Hey, this is Tom from Inspiration Metalworks. Just wanted to give a quick update today. So there's a lot going on right now. As you know, we've recently moved into new space. The space is currently still being rehabbed. Both what we're doing as a whole, the larger group, there's a few of us that kind of went in together on this place. And then also what I'm doing internally with the shop itself. So I just wanted to give a little update on where things are headed, what's going on. And so today what we're going to look at are some of the things I'm working on here at the shop, some of the things I will be working on in the future, and another short update on the CNC mill project. So one of the coolest things about this shop is that I inherited another air compressor. Now I've got that good Quincy at the house still. I never brought it over here because the building itself actually had 3 air compressors already here, lines plumbed, things of that nature. But the air compressors need a little work. They had, I don't know when the last time they were serviced. This one in particular that we're looking at up here, it didn't even have a real drain in it. What it had was a 3/8 20 bolt stuck in the where you would normally have a small ball valve or something to drain water out. So one of the projects I'm working on is actually getting this air compressor up and running. I've been using this little portable deal to keep the shop operational, but it's a lot slower for me to do. I've got to wait for it to catch up, and it's much like I was doing when I first got the plasma cam up and running. You can also see one of the vents that I have here in my portion of the shop to help keep the air clean when I'm cutting and grinding and things like that. So let's take a look at what we have to do. So I just went shopping, and I did that because some of this stuff was just destroyed. The pressure gauge, right? There was a fire in this building, so some of the stuff that was in here, it wasn't actually the building itself. There was a vehicle that had caught fire, and so there were a lot of things that had some problems. This pressure gauge, for instance, I don't know if it's a problem because of if it's age, or if it was the smoke or abuse or what, but it's reading 20 right now. That's our air pressure. Somehow I'm managing to get 20 psi. Pretty good, huh? So we've got a replacement for that. Told you about the bolt that was in there. This little guy, I cleaned it up, and to verify, I just used my rule and counted threads, but I actually went out and got a new thread gauge. I'm looking for an excuse to do this anyways, so I wanted to verify that it really was 3/8 20. Oh, that's the 24. Did I grab the wrong one? 12 to 40, no, that's it. Okay, 20. So we've got our 20 gauge, and let's make sure you guys can see this. So when I put it in here, we've got a nice good fit. All right, so we know that's 3/8 20. Kind of an unusual size. I wasn't able to find most of the things that you would expect to find for parts. So that part kind of threw me off a little bit today, but that's okay because we'll work with it. Now what I'm going to have to do, because I have we've got here, I think you can see it. Okay, good. So this is an automatic drain. Right? So you set the period that you want it on and how often you want it to purge. So you can go anywhere from half a minute to 45 minutes, and from half a second to 10 seconds at a time. So what this does is, rather than having to open a petcock or a ball valve to drain it, it automatically drains for you. Right? So really makes it simpler to do, helps keep the air dry. That's one of the big things with plasma cutting, is you need good dry air. I also do have a refrigerated line dryer to put in. I will likely be doing that this week as well. It's in another part of the shop right now. We're going to get it moved over here. So all those things to improve the plasma cutting. So I'm going to have to, one of the fun parts that I'm going to have to do, I'll probably do this today on the lathe, is make something, a coupler, right? Something that'll fit into that, into the drain, right? So imagine getting a coupler that basically will get this in here. So we'll get it. Maybe I'll shoot some video of that. Along those lines, speaking of petcocks and things like that, my little portable air compressor that I've been using, I noticed it's not draining out of the petcock, so I picked up some new petcocks for that. I'll clean that up and get that going. And then lastly, because we're going to be sharing this line between a couple of different areas in the shop, I want to make sure I've got regulators on. So I picked up a small regulator, a little dial regulator for that I can put on equipment, and then also a larger line regulator, a locking regulator. This is the one I'll probably use that runs to the plasma cam. So I'll put this one to the refrigerated line dryer, from there to the plasma cutter. The plasma cutter also has a regulator on it, but I don't want to overload the regulator and burst something in the plasma cutter, so make sure it's regulated before it gets there. And then lastly, when I do hook up the line dryer, I want to have some hoses to run that. So I picked up some Goodyear made in the USA 3/8 inch line. You know what's funny about all this? So you got a 3/8 inch line. I don't know if you guys have ever looked. Oh, I grabbed one was quarter and one's 3/8. I just realized that. I don't know if you've ever looked on the inside. Right. So let's do this real quick. So 3/8, right? Look at the size inside of there. It's a big choke point. That is not 3/8, let me tell you. I guarantee that. You're lucky if that's a quarter. Same thing, if you look at the quarter, when you're looking at your line and you're calculating your line volume, right? You got to look at that, because look inside of there. You guys can see, yeah, see how small that is? So you got this great big opening, but then you've got a choke point on the air. So your volume is always going to be calculated here. Your flow will be calculated by how much can go through there, and that's going to dictate some of it. So this is going to be most of the morning, I think, what I'll be working on today. But that's, oh, and then I got to find a new air filter. They didn't have it at the place that I went, so I'll dig this one up. That's a pretty common size. So. Alright, so most of you guys know that I'm a big motorcycle guy. I used to work for a local dealership, and so I've been making a lot of parts lately for people. Well, somebody upped the ante the other day and dropped this off with me and said, make this into a bobber for me. Kudos if you can see what's missing, but we'll work on that. Anyways, lots to do on this one. This will probably be a series of videos that I'll do. Right now I've noticed the front brake, the pistons, it's sticking. The shift linkage is broken. There are some missing parts. This bike, by the way, this one is, I want to say it's a 97. Let's take a look real quick. Control information. Oh, it must be on the other side. Yeah, that's just basics. No? Yeah, here. It's 96. Okay, so this is a 96 Savage 650. Right, so it is a single, kind of like the old 50s and 60s bikes. It's a big size piston, single cylinder. Right, so lots of torque, doesn't rev up real high, but fun little bikes to ride. These are great starter bikes. The LS 650. Now they're sold by Suzuki as the S40. But the LS 650 Savage, as it was called back then, is it's a fun little bike, and again, great starter bikes. So I've been asked to make this into a bobber. What you'll see, let me make sure you guys can see this real quick. Yeah, okay. So we'll come in here, we'll hack all this stuff off. This will go away. We'll put a solo seat on it. We'll put drag bars on it. Fenders will get redone. Lights will get redone. This stock exhaust will go. All the extra bits and bobs that it doesn't need will go away. Lighten it up as much as you can, and so this will be a fun little thing. And then got a friend that But you can actually see me in this shop. See my head. We got a friend whose shop is right down the street here who does paint. So we'll get him to do the paint on this. All right, but that'll be one of the projects for the winter and early spring. All right, just for fun, the interesting thing about this bike, if you look at it, 635 miles. Now that is the original mileage on it, 635 miles, and it is a 96. I did check it. Nothing's seized up on it. I can turn the engine over by hand, put it in gear and turn it over by hand, and everything seems to be fine. We just need to get it up and running again. All right, so just another short update on the CNC mill. I've got the 3 axes are built in. They're done now. I did the CNC Fusion kit with the Probotics controller and motors, and honestly, it went on very easily. It wasn't difficult to do. There's a lot of resources online. I'm not going to do videos on how to set this up. There's tons of resources out there. I did have to grind on the back on the to get the Y-axis in. I did have to grind that smooth to make sure that the feed screw had plenty of space to get in there. But otherwise, it was pretty simple. They changed the kits. The Z-axis used to use the Z-stop as one of the mounting points. It used to do a 3-point mount. Now it's 4, and so it doesn't use that spot anymore. But otherwise, this was all pretty straightforward, and didn't take too long to do. I think one day I worked on it for about 2 hours, and the other day I worked on it for 3 or 4 hours. So it wasn't too long. I think if I had 5 hours into it total, I'd be surprised. But got everything lubed up and tested. And I thought we'd go ahead and let me just run a quick test in here. So basically, I'm just doing a simulation of what it would be to cut a 3-inch pocket in the system. It's doing a very slow plunge. I didn't set any speeds or feeds on this at all. But so it'll do its thing. I don't know how well you can see it. Maybe I'll zoom you in and see if I can get you zoomed in a little better on the table itself. I don't know if you guys can even see it moving. Right, so pretty straightforward. Does what it's supposed to do. It's just simulating going through and cutting that circular pocket, putting a 3-inch pocket out of a piece of stock. So, what's nice about this though is that this simulation does let me go through and test X, Y, and Z axis, make sure everything's working right. So there it is. And I'll keep you posted when I start cutting some chips on it. I mean, technically there's nothing preventing me from cutting chips right now. I just don't have the time to mess with it. I'll be working on the lathe, getting that adapter going. Gotta get the air compressor going before I start playing with these toys. So, thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.